Hello and welcome to Spectrum News at 12. I am Uyai Anyakan, coming to you live from the beautiful hills of Ibiakuran. Let's take a look at the headlines. President Buhari solicits global cooperation to avert food crisis. President Buhari congratulates Bishop Opaleke on appointment as Pope's Cardinal. Plus, Kenya marks 59 years of self-rule. Details of the stories and more in a moment. We begin with President Muhammadu Buhari's call for global cooperation to avert a looming food crisis as the war between Russia and Ukraine rages. The president made the call in Madrid, Spain, at the Royal Palace during an audience with King Felipe VI in continuation of his visit to the country. The king said Nigeria was an important country and looked forward to an opportunity to visit the country, especially against the background of stronger cooperation being forged by the two countries. President Buhari thanked the Spanish monarch and President Pedro Sanchez for the invitation and hospitality extended to him since his arrival, adding that his country looked forward to increasing bilateral relations between both nations. In a related development, President Muhammadu Buhari has signed at least 9 agreements and memoranda of understanding with the Spanish government in Madrid, Spain. According to a statement by his special advisor on media and publicity, Femi Adesina, the agreements includes treaty on mutual legal assistance in criminal matters, transfer of sentenced persons extradition, economic and commercial cooperation, tourism, as well as sports, health, the fight against COVID-19, as well as science and innovation. In a meeting with his Spanish counterpart, President Pedro Sanchez, Buhari commended Sanchez for his leadership qualities and contributions to the war against terror in sub-Saharan Africa, especially in Mali, and looking forward to cooperation in the area. President Sanchez emphasized that as a major partner of Spain in Africa, Nigeria is a country that his people really want to have a stronger partnership with going forward, and commended Buhari for his leadership roles in Africa, especially in the area of strengthening of democratic ideals. Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari has expressed happiness over the appointment of Bishop Peter Opaleke of Ekulobia Diocese, Anambra State, as a cardinal in the Catholic Church by Pope Francis. In a statement signed by his senior special assistant on media and publicity, Garba Shehu, Buhari commended the Pope for finding a capable Nigerian in the person of Bishop Opaleke to be one of the 2 nominees from the African continent. According to Shehu, President Buhari also congratulated the Nigerian Christian community on the choice, describing the cardinal designate as ably qualified and that having him in that position will benefit the country. Bishop Opaleke becomes the 4th cardinal from Nigeria. Others before him are Francis Arinze, Anthony Okoje, and John Onaikan. He is among the 21 new cardinals Pope Francis announced. Away from that, the federal government has warned Nigerians against the consumption of bushmeat following the outbreak of monkeypox in the country. In a statement, the Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Mohammed Abubakar, said the warning was to ensure the situation was contained. According to him, people must avoid contact with persons suspected to be infected with monkeypox at home and at workplaces. Hunters and dealers of bushmeat must desist from the practice forthwith to prevent any possibility of spillover of the pathogen in Nigeria. Silos, stores, and other agricultural storage facilities must institute active rodent control measures to prevent contact and possibly contamination of monkeypox virus with foodstuff. He further urged all operators of zoos, parks, conservation and recreational centers keeping non-human primates in their domains must ensure strict compliance with their biosecurity protocols aimed at preventing their contact with humans. On education, the Universal Basic Education Commission has disclosed that it would construct 6 smart schools in the 6 geopolitical zones to the tune of 3.6 billion naira. This was disclosed in a statement signed by the UBEC head of public relations, David Ape, saying the management of the commission also commenced discrete efforts to ensure the full implementation of e-learning programs in basic education across the country, following the challenges occasioned in the subsector by the COVID-19 pandemic. Bobuyi further explained that the capacity building for the different categories of stakeholders would include general training on ICT tools and facilities, adding that the training would cover all issues pertaining to the effective use of various ICT tools and facilities to enable the teachers to efficiently use them. In the meantime, members of the Nigeria Union of Pensioners have vowed to mobilize votes for any political aspirant who would uphold their interest. President of the union, Godwin Abumisi, who spoke to newsmen in Abuja, said the days when politicians wooed senior citizens for elective offices and ignored their plight after winning elections were over. Abumisi, who commended the efforts of the federal government through the Pension Transitional Arrangement Directorate for its various efforts and operations, decried the non-compliance of some state governments in payment of members' entitlements and refusal of most to review the amount in line with the latest consequential adjustment of the pensions. He further appealed to the federal government to call on defaulting state governments to order as well as immediately set up a joint committee with the NUP state councils to address the outstanding entitlements. In the run-up to the 2023 elections, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has expressed worry over the 20 million permanent voters' cards still lying unclaimed in its vaults. INEC's Deputy Director, Voter Education, Mary Nkem, raised the concern at the launch of the PVC Bus Drive project, organized by a non-governmental organization, the Advocacy for Civic Engagement in Abuja. According to her, it is votes and not social media that would determine the winners of the 2023 general elections, noting that previously printed PVCs uncollected are still available for collection by the owners at the INEC offices across the country. Still in politics, Rivers Governor Nyesom Wike has met with ex-Vice President Atiku Abubakar and 2023 hopeful, being the second in 48 hours. The former VP commented about the parley in a text statement syndicated on his social media pages, adding that he was proud of the promises the spirit of commandery holds for the party as a united front that guarantees victory in the next election to rescue the country. Recall that Atiku defeated Wike and others, among them ex-Senate presidents and governors, to clinch the People's Democratic Party (PDP) ticket last Saturday. However, Wike has reiterated his vow to support whoever emerges as the PDP presidential standard bearer. Back here, Akwa Ibom State Governor Dom Emmanuel has denied making uncomplimentary remarks against any of the presidential aspirants in the just concluded PDP presidential primaries. Governor Emmanuel had, on arrival in the state after the presidential primary election, granted an interview where he called on PDP faithfuls to support the presidential candidate of the party and described all the aspirants as competent to lead the country. But a section of the social media was reportedly awash with allegations that the governor made uncomplimentary remarks about other aspirants in the race. Fielding questions from government house correspondents at the Victor Atta International Airport on return from a brief official trip to Abuja, Governor Emmanuel denied ever making such malicious comments and called on security agencies to clamp down on those who perpetrated the mischief and falsehood using the social media. Governor Emmanuel said such acts of falsehood should not be tolerated and insisted that politics should not degenerate into character assassination for selfish political gains. Still in Akwa Ibom State, the National Association of Nigerian Students, NAN South-South region, have issued a 21-day ultimatum to the federal government to resolve its lingering issues with Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, so students can return to school or face total shutdown of economic activities across the South-South states. The student body made the comment at the commencement of a region-wide protest which kick-started in Uyo, the Akwa Ibom State capital. Addressing Nigerian students from the region during the protest, NAN's Public Relations Officer Utume Kanem said the body will continue with the planned peaceful protests across the region before waiting to see the federal government's reaction and deciding follow-up actions.
In a country where money is easily borrowed to fund what many will consider unfruitful ventures by the federal government, especially considering the millions currently exchanging hands within this electioneering period, the question on everyone's lips is, why is the federal government yet to grant ASU's demand for students to return to school? Activities were shut down along major federal government establishments and road, including the Federal Secretariat along a back road in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State yesterday, June 1st, in a region-wide peaceful protest by the South-South body of the National Association of Nigerian Students. The students who locked and blocked the entrance of the Federal Secretariat said the peaceful protest was their way of sending a strong message to the President Buhari-led federal government to prioritize education, settle its issues with the striking ASU and relevant unions so students can go back to school. Recall that ASU have been on strike since February and have insisted they will not call off the industrial action until the federal government honors its agreement reached with the union, which borders on revitalization funding, payroll, amongst others. Francis.
In Africa, Kenya has celebrated 59 years of self-rule as thousands gathered at the Uhuru Gardens of Nairobi to mark Madaraka Day. Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta addressed the nation before a large crowd. Dignitaries such as the first couple of the Republic of Sierra Leone, the diplomatic corps, VP William Ruto, and politician Raila Odinga, that the president addressed the nation. For his last ceremony in office, Kenyatta urged his people to consider stability when voting at the next general elections on the 9th of August 2022.
On this day in June 1963, that our founding fathers of our nation replaced the outgoing colonial government and formed the first indigenous government of Kenya. These forthcoming elections, general elections, on the 9th of August 2022, is to choose peace and stability over fear, hope over hate, and progress.
Still in Africa, hundreds of Sudanese protesters have rallied in front of the United Nations mission in the capital, Khartoum, to call for its dismissal. The rallies came as the UN Security Council is considering extending the mission's mandate beyond June 3rd. Many accuse the envoy of interfering in Sudan's international affairs. The UN mission, along with the African Union and regional bloc, IGAD, have been pushing to facilitate Sudanese-led talks to resolve the crisis. Meanwhile, on Sunday, military leader Abdel Fattah lifted the state of emergency imposed since the coup to set the stage for meaningful dialogue that achieves stability for the transitional period. On the foreign scene, as the Shanghai government lifted its citywide lockdown, skyscrapers lit up, roads filled with traffic, and young people drank and danced in the streets as fireworks boomed overhead in celebration. As of this morning, most of the city's 25 million residents are free to leave their communities. Shops and office buildings can reopen. Cars are back on the streets, and subway and buses are resuming services. However, the process of reopening is likely to be slow as residents in the financial hub contend with the trauma of the past 2 months in enforcement of the government's zero-COVID policy. The draconian measures reportedly triggered wave after wave of outcry, severely eroding public trust in the Shanghai government. Still on the foreign scene, Britain will offer work visas to graduates from the world's best universities in an expansion of its post-Brexit immigration system that is designed to attract the best and brightest workers. The government said that under the scheme, graduates with a bachelor's or master's degree from the top 50 universities abroad can apply for a 2-year work visa and will be allowed to bring family members with them. Those who receive doctorates can apply for a 3-year visa. Successful applicants will then be able to switch to longer-term employment visas. The best recent list of eligible universities from 2021, published online by the UK government, comprises more than 24 US universities, as well as institutions in Canada, Japan, Germany, China, Singapore, France, and Sweden. No African university is on the latest eligibility list nor on list for previous years. Meanwhile, according to a United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, OCHA reports, surging gang violence in Haiti's capital has left nearly 200 people dead and thousands displaced in the last month alone. Recall that heavily armed rival gangs began clashing and seizing territory in Port-au-Prince with new intensity in late April, forcing more than 16,800 people, including children, to abandon their homes and shelter to temporary accommodation. According to OCHA, at least 92 of the 188 people reportedly killed between April 24th and May 26th were non-gang members, with another 113 people injured, 12 missing and 49 kidnapped for ransom. The intensity and duration of the violence has wrecked the country as it is still reeling from the assassination of President Jovenel Moise last July and the power vacuum his killing has left behind. Meanwhile, the UN Security Council is preparing to debate the future of the UN's long-time presence in Haiti, leaving a question mark over its mandate in the country. Still to come in the news, Usyk versus Joshua 2 set for Jeddah Superdome. Do stay with us. Thanks for staying tuned. On our business news, World Bank economists Jonathan Lane and Jacob Engel have said that rising inflation, persistent population growth, the COVID-19 pandemic, and the war in Ukraine are threatening Nigeria's poverty reduction aspiration. These economists said this in a post published on the bank's blog, saying Nigeria's aspiration to lift all of its people out of poverty by 2030 presents a serious challenge. Even before COVID-19, 4 in 10 Nigerians lived below the national poverty line, some 80 million people. Recall that in June last year, President Muhammadu Buhari inaugurated the National Steering Committee of the National Poverty Reduction with Growth Strategy chaired by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo. This, he said, re-echoes his commitment to lifting 100 million Nigerians out of poverty in 10 years with a well-researched framework for implementation and funding. Meanwhile, according to a new industry statistics from the Nigerian Communications Commission, about 6.18 million global system for mobile communications subscribers joined the national network between January and April this year. Also, the number of active telephone connections per 100 inhabitants within all areas in Nigeria increased to 105.65%, amounting to 201.67 million subscriptions in April. The NCC's industry statistics revealed that the number of active GSM subscribers increased from 195.13 million in December of 2021 to 201.31 million in April of 2022. Reports say this is the first time the number of recorded subscribers in the nation is crossing 200 million since December 2020, when there were 204.15 million GSM subscribers in the nation. To health now, where the World Health Organization says smoking tobacco is driving the tuberculosis epidemic, adding that in 2020 it was responsible for about 730,000 TB episodes. According to the global health body, individuals who smoke are more at risk of experiencing problems with their lungs, even after successful completion of TB treatment. The UN Health Agency, who disclosed this in a press statement, stressed that individuals who smoke, along with people who are exposed to secondhand smoke, are at higher risk of developing TB, adding that smoking tobacco slows down TB recovery and is also linked with poor treatment outcomes, including relapse of TB and death. Meanwhile, medical experts have recommended that specific punishment be outlined for persons who indulge in self-medication. Speaking with Newsmen, Dr. Nuhu Sule, who made the recommendation in an interview with Newsmen, said such a measure was desirable considering the devastating effect of self-medication. He observed that more people had imbibed the habit of taking medicine without subjecting themselves to proper diagnosis. Hence the need for a law that would stipulate punishment to serve as a deterrent. To sports now, where Cyril Dessers has bid Feyenoord farewell, saying he might return to the club someday despite their failure to sign him permanently. The 27-year-old was on a season loan at Feyenoord, where he scored 20 goals and recorded 6 assists in 44 games for the Dutch club. In a video statement he posted on Twitter, Dessers, who thanked Feyenoord for the time, noted that he thoroughly enjoyed his time with the club and hinted he might be back to the club. Genk also confirmed that Dessers would be returning to the club after Feyenoord officially informed them that they would not be exercising the purchase option of $4 million for the Nigerian striker. Still in sports, Anthony Joshua's rematch with Oleksandr Usyk is set to be staged at Jeddah Superdome, a record-breaking arena in Saudi Arabia. A date for Joshua's second world heavyweight title fight against Usyk is yet to be confirmed, but management at Jeddah Superdome confirmed it is preferred venue to host the blockbuster bout. On our entertainment scene, American actress Amber Heard has condemned the verdict reached by the jury in her defamation case with British actor and ex-husband Johnny Depp. Heard had countersued the Pirates of the Caribbean actor to the tune of $100 million after he filed a case against her for an article she wrote in 2018. A year after her divorce, where she tagged herself a public figure representing domestic abuse. According to Deb, while she did not mention his name in the article, it painted him as an abusive partner and consequently impacted his career negatively. The United States jury on Wednesday reached a verdict after weeks of an intense trial riding on bitterly contested allegations of domestic abuse. The 7-member jury in Virginia found both parties liable of defamation and awarded Deb $15 million in damages. The jury also found that Head was defamed by statements made by Deb's lawyer, Adam Walden, who told the Daily Mail that her abuse claims were a hoax and awarded her $2 million in damages. Reacting to the verdict, the actress on her Instagram page expressed her disappointment in the eventual result of the case. Meanwhile, Ada Pinkett Smith briefly addressed the Oscar slap incident between her husband, Will Smith, and Chris Rock on Wednesday's episode of Red Table Talk. In the interview, Pinkett, who noted that the Red Table Talk in alopecia was important, stressed that she was using the moment to give people with alopecia an opportunity to talk about what the actress said. She hopes Smith and Chris find the opportunity to reconcile their differences and move past the Oscar incident. Recall that actor Will Smith assaulted comedian Chris Rock at the Oscars over jokes he made on his wife's medical condition. And that's all we have for you at this time. Do ensure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtv.ng. You have been watching Spectrum News at 12. I am Uyaya Nick, and thanks for watching, and do enjoy the rest of your day.